Welcome. Welcome to Telepathic TV. This is television you watch with your third eye, and I'm R. Neville Johnston.
And I'm Mary Phelan, and our program is about raising our consciousness. And tonight we have a very special guest, Kate Jones from Kate Industries. We call her the Puzzle Lady. Kate, welcome to the show. It's been a long time, but we always love to have you on.
Thanks, Mary. It's great to be back. Thanks, Neville.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so, well, as you can see, all these lovely things that we have all around us are puzzles, geometric puzzles, game boards, all kinds of stuff. What have you been doing since the last time we saw you? I see lots of new stuff here.
Yes, hi, thanks. Well, I have been continuing to design original games and puzzles. I do several each year. We've been about 2.5 years since you've seen me, so I probably have about 10 new things, maybe more. And I get on these kicks. Now, this time I'm showing more of our wooden game boards. My idea was that these game boards also have geometric form. And some of these were invented by friends of mine who know my addiction to geometric shapes. And they are very beautiful. If you like, I will explain some of them to you later.
Okay.
There's several over there, and I've got some over here. Many of them have a sort of almost a mandala-like look.
Yes, yes.
And I've made several new puzzles as well, large ones and small ones. This past year I was doing a lot with pocket puzzles, things people could just carry with them in a little pouch, and I'll show you some of those as well.
Ah, okay. Well, excellent. You know, we were talking before the show started, and, well, Neville and I have very many of your puzzles. They are absolutely amazing, and I know your website's going to be up on and off throughout the evening, but it is gamepuzzles.com, so game singular, puzzles plural.com, and you have actually your puzzle parlor, is that what you call it?
Yes.
Where you can go in and play with some of her puzzles. They're incredible. We usually get order off your website and buy puzzles for people for Christmas because they make wonderful gifts. Because you were saying that you can actually, it's not like you solve this puzzle once. Each puzzle has many, many solutions. And we always draw the parallel to the stuff we teach on the show about metaphysics, that there's more than one correct answer for everything. And your puzzles are a perfect illustration of this.
Yeah, I remember you estimating more than 1 million solutions to one particular puzzle.
Yes, that's right. Some of them have tens of thousands, 100,000, maybe even 1 million. If you see the little teddy bears up there, well, I also make a larger bears which has a 6x6 group where each bear is totally different. And just a few weeks ago, I, just out of curiosity, figured out if you can take certain bears which are symmetrically opposite, flip them over and exchange their positions, it works out that the total number of ways to put them back in is over 1 trillion.
Whoa!
Wow.
For those with calculators long enough to figure it, it's 15 factorial.
Wow.
Because each pair of bears is a different color, so it'll look different. No twins are ever the same color.
Yeah,
so
interesting.
Yeah.
I've been playing with the meditation of the king that bought the chessboard, the original king, the original, and he wanted 1 grain of rice doubled for each. And I've been doing that in the meditation, 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 60, and every day I choose the next number up, and I'm up to about 7 digits at this point.
Well, you have a long way to go.
Yeah, and I doubt I'm even probably about 1/3 of the way through it.
In about 1 million years, you'll probably get to the last one.
Yeah.
And I insist that you also live that long.
All right, it'll give me something to do all that time.
Yeah, yeah, I wouldn't doubt that.
Now, the small bears are all different as well. This is the very popular puzzle these days that everyone has heard of is called Sudoku. You've probably heard of it, which involves putting 9 numbers, 1 through 9 different ones in every row, horizontally and vertically, and even within the little 3x3 areas. Well, I heard about this, and I looked at it and tried it out, and I realized that my bears do the same thing. The sixth one is even more so. But every row has 4 different colors, so those could be 4 different numbers.
Oh, yeah.
In addition, this is like a triple Sudoku, because in addition, every row has 4 different arm positions. And every row has 4 different leg positions, both horizontally and vertically.
Oh, wow.
And there are some other subunits that also are all different. The interesting thing about that is, if you remember what the man in the circle looks like, Da Vinci's Vitruvian Man?
Yes.
He has 2 arms and 2 legs on each side. And if you were to calculate how many real poses would that make if it were just a normal guy with 1 arm and 1 leg on each side? With Da Vinci's Man, it works out to 16. And that's an exact equivalent of these 16 shapes.
Interesting.
Oh.
Wow.
So they're my little Da Vinci bears.
Oh, that's very well
cute.
put. Yeah.
They're very cute.
Yeah. But in fact, it has characteristics of Sudoku. Long before Sudoku became fashionable. I've been making the bears longer than that. They're more related to what in recreational mathematics is called Latin squares. The idea of having all different colors or all different types of things in rows.
Well, there's universal truth. That's any one of your puzzles is going to hit a universal truth. It is what they're made of. Yeah.
I use those words when I explain to people what it is that I'm doing. I said, because when you play with these and you get into them, you find some element of universal truth. This is one of the criteria for what I will design. I don't want things that are just arbitrary or random. There's got to be that total conviction that this is a piece of the universe right there. And the more you play with them, the more you discover it.
Wow.
See, you may try, and the first time you do it, it's a little tricky. You remember?
A little.
I brought you the first one you ever tried, just for sentimental reasons here.
I remember,
This is one.
I spent the whole show solving it.
You've never made it in this pattern. This is just random.
Not.
But somebody tried to get all the colors together.
Oh, yeah.
So that was what they did. So I'm not going to ask you to do it again, because I know each time you like to play with it, but I think you're pretty much a master of it now. You have one at home.
Which took a long time, I'm sure,
Yeah, I remember the really incredible one you brought one year that I can't even remember how it was shaped. But I actually got so involved in that, I drew it and then cut it up so that I could, you know, work on it and twist it around and do things. It was just incredible. And the thing is, you know, people are given like mantras to say during meditation. I really find doing particularly your puzzles, because they are based on the sacred geometrical shapes of the universe that all creation is based on, that when I'm doing that, for the people that say, I can't quiet my mind enough to meditate, this really does the trick. And I would find myself, Neville, you can attest to this, that I'll be playing with one of these and I look up and it's 6 o'clock in the morning. It was like, where did the time go?
4 hours.
I said, I have been playing with puzzles.
You enter universal time.
Yeah.
There is no time when your mind is engaged with such a concept.
Yeah.
Yeah, this would be therapeutic in every way. Now, I know you regularly go to the Renaissance Festival, and I recall your story about the children that come.
Yes.
And if you wanted to talk about your babysitting service, so to speak.
Oh, well, we have a beautiful pavilion at the Renaissance Festival, and I certainly invite everyone to come. There's seating. You have a long, long counter. You can sit at it and work on the various puzzles. And kids come up. We charge them $1 arcade fee to play. And if they buy a puzzle, they get that back too. But it's great to watch their minds at work. And they want to keep going, and they want to keep trying more and more challenging things. And this is the great hope for the future, because the children are the future. And what their minds do, because we have a lot of repair work to do on our society right now. And
only slightly.
The hope is all in the children and what their problem-solving abilities, their creativity. The recognition of systems, how systems work.
Oh gosh, yes, that gave me chills when you said that, because you're right that they're so disengaged, and even adults nowadays from any system. Everything is like just you, and how everything else is irritating you, and, you know.
But each is a system. The universe is a system. The universe is the greatest system there is, and then there are little subunits of it that we encounter. My puzzles are just little microcosms. Each one is like a portal through to that larger system or puzzle. And the thing that makes these so extraordinary, different from what other things exist, is that each one is a set that belongs together. The pieces of each set are related by a common concept. They are members of that family. So each time I work out a new set, it's getting acquainted with a new family, and what is the nature, the personality of that entity. And then each piece contributes to the beauty of the whole composition. As you were saying, there's not just one right answer. The most frequently asked question, people come up to my booth. You know, I travel, I go on the road to art shows. I have a portable booth that I take with me. And I even have a sign up there, it says, yes, they all have many solutions.
Wow.
People may not see that sign and they come up, oh, do these go together only one way? Which is fine because it gives me an opportunity to say, no, there are many right ways. In fact, you can't do it wrong. See, I'm very big on positive and eliminating the negative.
Oh, absolutely.
They said, oh, I did it wrong. I said, no, you haven't done it wrong. You just haven't finished. You know, keep at it. Keep at it.
That's a really good way of putting that. I love that.
You just haven't finished. And then, like 2 minutes later, they find the answer, and then they just beam. Because it makes you feel so good. Your brain just tingles with the joy of having done something on its own.
Yeah.
Just such
I wanted to talk about how stunning it was about how quiet the children are while they're doing this.
Oh, yes.
And that's just amazing. We opened the program with the idea of this being a shortcut to quieting the chatter in the mind.
Yes.
And the children who can chatter like howler monkeys, and we love them for it, provided we don't have to pay any attention to it. But, you know...
You're so right.
Yeah,
You're
and there
so
they are
right.
quiet. And for parents that are looking for solutions other than television, other than Game Boy, other than the electronic versions of these whole things, that has a place, but it's nothing compared to actually the hands-on picking up the piece and putting it in place. It's even separated once you're, even when you're doing Tetris on a computer program, it still doesn't have that
direct
tactile,
contact.
direct tactile quality.
And the color too, because color is frequency, and just looking at the different colors, they activate different portions of the brain and do all kinds of things. One thing I remember you talking about a number of years ago in relationship to what Neville was talking about, that, and I found this very fascinating because, as you know, I teach tarot and how to just use symbols, you know, in this way. And people are always saying, oh, is there a particular hand to pick the cards with? And I remember you saying one time that somebody was attempting to do the puzzle with one of their hands, and you suggested they try the other. What was that again? Was it doing their
It
right hand?
activates the other parts of the brain. And so if they switch hands, they free up a part of the brain that wasn't helping. And now the whole brain works together. It works even best if they put both hands in. Sometimes a visitor will be holding a bag or something they're carrying with them, so they can't use that hand, and they're just trying to work with one hand. And then I suggest that they switch, or let someone else hold the bag so they can get both. And it makes such a difference because more of the mind is beginning to be awakened to come and help.
That's the name of our game, Awakening the Mind.
Yeah, and I feel, you know, the automatic writing that I've done, I used to do it handwriting, and then I got to the point where I started typing it because I found it, I didn't realize this, but it just would flow so much faster because I was using both hands. That's what I talk about, the affirmations, too.
I understand there's a name for that called pole bridging, which is that you bridge between the two halves of the brain.
Wow.
And they talk to each other, and each one helps inform the other because they're both contributing their special features.
Yeah, it's the alliance of the two brains that is the ascension principle. It's a battle between poles on this planet, and the language is superpolar, and it's only when we get to the Trinity version, it's only when the two work together, instead of dealing with poles, dealing with the Trinity, that this becomes the actual ascended planet. And this will do it in a very large way.
That's very true. You know, we do the opening of the third eye ceremony where we talk a lot about the syncing of the hemispheres, and this is just the perfect thing for it.
Wow, great. The idea that they engage both sides. See, people sometimes say, oh, I'm too left-brained for this, or I'm too right-brained for this. And I always want to shake them and say, use the whole head, use the whole brain,
use your whole brain.
Use everything you've got.
I'm too whole-brained for this. Oh, no, I've already done it.
One of the fascinating things about watching people, I've watched tens of thousands of people working on these puzzles, and certain things happen. One of which is that they get into it a little at a time. And you can see that it's one side and then the other. And they suddenly develop insights they didn't have before. And I can see where their brain has already got the answer. The brain is just trying to send the message into the fingers.
Oh, yes.
And I sometimes kid them about that. I said, you know, your brain already, you already know the answer. You already know what to do. It's just trying to get through to your fingers. And then when they get it, you can see, because the hand moves so much faster, they all of a sudden just reach for the piece and flip it over, or whatever it took, because you can see that light goes on, that aha moment happens. And then, then the smiles come.
Wow.
But as you were saying, the children, they're so quiet, and they also don't smile. Children, when they're intent on something like that, totally absorbed, are very serious. And then, of course, the mother or somebody comes along and says, hey, I want to take your picture doing that, smile. And the child doesn't even know how to do that, because he's still completely concentrating on the puzzle.
Interesting.
But once it's solved, then you get all the
Then they
smiles
smile.
you want.
Yeah, the accomplishment comes
that's
through.
wonderful to see.
Well, which style, because you've been doing this, how many, 25 years? I believe you said you...
It's actually the 28th year now.
28th year,
the
whoa.
Saturn return.
What happened was that the last time I was here was the year before our 25th anniversary.
Okay.
So in 2005, we had this great big hoopla of celebrating 25 years, our silver anniversary. And in fact, I have a small puzzle right in the center there, which was a commemorative puzzle for the 25th anniversary,
so beautiful.
which I will show you a little bit about. So I developed a series of puzzles that have 25 pieces, or in some other way are related to the 25ness. And I took the whole year, and I even flowed over into 2006, adding to 25 artifacts that we're going to celebrate our 25th anniversary. So then that passed, and then now we're into the 28th year. And I don't see any reason that I am going to stop or do anything different, because this is, I finally have accepted the fact that this is my destiny.
Yeah.
This is what I'm supposed to be doing. And even the puzzles are just a stepping stone, a medium for a message. And my message is, of course, think. Use your head. Think beautifully. Think how things can be made to work together. You can't solve one of these puzzles by breaking a piece off one.
No, I gave that a shot.
We have.
You have to protect the integrity of the whole unit. And the wholest unit we have is the globe. So I'm thinking I need to also get a message out to the world.
Absolutely.
The global puzzle.
The global puzzle is how can we get all these societies with their conflicting beliefs, their strange belief systems, how can we make them realize that they're just one part of a larger puzzle, and what they are needs to be honored and accepted. We're not going to be enemies with them. They don't have to be enemies with us. That each uniqueness is needed to contribute to the composition as a whole.
That's absolutely beautiful. I can even see, you doing the puzzle of that, the different
Well, everyone on the planet is a member of the same family. There is only one family on the planet Earth. As much as we'd love to believe it's divided, it isn't.
That's very true.
That's
but you can have a puzzle like the one with the, what did I do with it?
It's
the red and white one up there.
This one?
That
there we
one.
go. Yeah.
Can you see the red and white one?
Pull it down if you can reach it.
Do you want me to grab it? I can.
Only if you like to get if the camera wants a closer look
We'll see
at
if
it. You can probably get it. The red and white one, the second one from the right. That happens to have 24 pieces. Each one is uniquely different from all the rest.
Really?
Each one has a different character, or a different combination of edge shapes. And you see some have waves.
Like this?
This has a wave. This one is a hill and valley joined together. It's a triple wave, so one goes into the other. And they get along beautifully, but it took some organizing intelligence. It took, let's say, human intelligence, which is really the best kind we have on this planet.
That's available.
To coax them into that. And this is the one that we think has over 400,000 solutions.
I bet you.
And you try to do it even one way, and it's very, very challenging. It may take a good puzzler an hour to get the first solution.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
After that, it gets easier because it's almost like you've absorbed its truth into yourself.
Oh,
and then it starts to work.
It was initially reminiscent of M.C. Escher at my glance of it. You recall his birds changing into negative space and back again.
In one of his artworks, that one piece, that's the white one on the upper right corner. No, that same puzzle you just had.
Oh, this one? Oh, okay.
The triangle with the 3 waves. That is in one of his pieces.
Really?
It's called Verbum. And that piece occurs more than once. It's the one that he uses and it transforms. It just by coincidence happened to show up in this puzzle because I was using waves as one of the edge shapes. Straights, waves, hills, and valleys. So there are 4 shapes on the 3 sides of a triangle. It comes out to 24. Many of these have 24.
That
it comes
is just
out as
fascinating.
an interesting number. It's double 12s. 12 is kind of a magic number for me in many ways.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
There are 12 pieces in the very first puzzle I ever made.
Oh, I was going to ask you, what is the first puzzle you ever made? Was my question, so I'm glad you made.
It's the 12 shapes of 5 squares joined.
Interesting.
They're called pentominoes. Our brand name for it is quintillions. Quintillions, because there are quintillions of combinations with the pieces. And each piece is a quint piece. If you were to divide it into 5 squares, you'd be able to do that. And now you have, you've seen me do this before. The pieces can be made into 3-dimensional shapes as well.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
Oh, wow.
So you can stand them up and build them into...
satisfied with merely a flat land.
Well, cubes and blocks and chairs and towers and all kinds of things.
Oh, I'll have to get this one. This is one I've been wanting for a long time.
You may not have this. This is the first one I ever made because I learned about it from a book. And some people may have heard the story, but I'll tell it to you anyway. I read about these shapes in a book by Arthur C. Clarke. He is not only an inventor of puzzles, he also invented the geodesic.
Geodesic dome.
No, that was Buckminster Fuller. The geosynchronous communication satellite. That was his contribution. He's also the Chancellor of Sri Lanka University. He is in his 80s and still going strong. He's still writing. And he actually bought one of my puzzles that I don't have one of it here today. Well, he wrote them into one of his books. I read about them, and that was the beginning of the rest of history. Because at that time I was a graphic artist, and I was overseas in Iran. And so I'm following the story very closely of what's going to happen to Iran. I'm not even going to touch on that any further, but it's very close to my heart. So that's when I first started working out things to play with this set. And then when I sold the graphic arts business and I was confronting the whole rest of my life, what shall I do? Someone suggested we make this game, which I was so hot on and working on. And that's what started it. And
it began.
I just wanted to show you the companion set to it, which I don't think you've seen. But if these are actually 5 cubes joined in a flat layer, then we have additional shapes which are 5 cubes joined not in a flat layer.
Wow.
And so there's a box full of pieces here, 18 additional ones which are size compatible with the original. So of course their name is super quintillions, and they're all different. And these came along a little bit later. And I'm still the only one in the world who makes these.
Wow. You know, that's a good point in general. Years ago, I was looking for puzzles such as these, and I couldn't find them anywhere. You really are the only one doing a lot of this, these kinds of puzzles. I really have never seen these anywhere else.
I am now making the broad claim on my website that I am the largest collection. I have the largest collection of original polyform puzzles on the internet. And polyforms are things made out of different building blocks. And they're all combinatorial, so as far as recreational mathematics turned into art. See, I don't want people to be afraid of the M word. Math is playable here. You don't need to know calculus or any of those things to enjoy this. This is the true language of math.
It bridges the
worlds. It shows
worlds.
you in symbols. It shows you in forms. It shows its incredible beauty, balance, and harmony through shapes that you can manipulate. And in this sense, There's only one other organization I know of who they don't use all my work, but they have the same foundation, and that is the Montessori system.
Oh, yeah.
Montessori believes in hands-on, from the foundation up. Everything builds from your first perceptions and build up hierarchically, and that's how you learn so quickly. I can almost always tell a Montessori child when they come to visit me at the booth.
Ah.
They have a way of organizing the pieces. They say, oh, okay, now this is one group, and this, and I look at them and I said, are you Montessori school? And they say, yeah. Because they learn to analyze things fully by the nature of the thing that it is.
Wow.
Interesting.
We could say logically, we could say by groups, but it's knowing what the system is. Learning to become intimate with what the set requires to give you the most beautiful expression. So math as art, playable art. Incidentally, I have a new domain name now. I've got 4 new domain names, one of which is playableart.com. I think there's a hyphen in the middle of that, playable-art.com, which is kind of a nice portal page, and it sends you to some of the parts in my regular website which deal with the most gorgeous art pieces. And another one I have is polyformpuzzles.com. I just got those a few months ago, so I'm very pleased. And I had this beautiful time making up this beautiful page that expresses, it just in one panel, expresses the essence of that concept.
Oh, and by the way, for the viewers, on our links page at telepathictv.com, we still have a link to your website. It's been on there for a long time now. And just go there, and if you don't have a pen handy to get her web address or anything, you can just go to telepathictv.com and click on the links page, and you'll see her right up there at the top. And you can just click and go right to the web page.
Thank you very much. And in my website, I list some of my media appearances, and there's a link to yours.
Oh, well, thank you.
Neat.
Thank you. That's very kind.
Excellent.
Thanks.
Yeah. And as always, we're live call-in, so if anyone has questions, puzzling questions specifically, to call in, and we'd be very honored to see if anyone asks any questions. And I'll start the ball rolling by asking about the triangular dream catcher that's up there, which has been dream catching my eye for the entire show.
Excellent.
And wonder what
these
you're
are her
doing
game
there.
boards. I'd be very curious to hear about those.
Well, let me see if I can fetch it over. I thought I could.
Or maybe one of this.
Would one of our audience members like to? Would Pete like to?
Got it.
Oh, Pete.
We got it.
Okay, that's okay, Pete. Maybe
the game
another
of
one.
why.
This is called the game of why. It is played with white and black stones.
Okay.
So maybe you like to set it right on the table in front of you there.
Okay.
And one of
Maybe a
you
slight
gets.
angle for the camera.
The average game takes only about 5 minutes or less if you don't dawdle. And one player gets white and one gets black.
All right.
And you take turns. This is going to look to some of your viewers like the game of Go, because the stones are, ouch, they're actually Go stones. And you take turns placing them on the board on any intersection.
Oh, neat.
And
something that might be interesting, just the Mayan calendar. And there's a game associated with the Mayan calendar. And that uses a turtle shell, which has 13 tiles. I don't know if you know all this. It has 13 tiles in its back and 28 around.
Yes.
And so it is a naturally occurring calendar, the turtle shell.
Yes.
And in this game, you place black and white discs around the 28, and you count time in beyond reality method. Yeah. I think there's a lot in the Mayan you might enjoy.
now you're going to just keep placing stones, and your ultimate goal is each player is trying to make a connection to all 3 sides, which is, you see why it's called the Y.
Yeah.
But you don't need to just put in a straight line. You can play all over the board, but at some point you want yours to connect up.
Oh, okay.
And one of you is going to be first.
You just take over the program and we'll play.
I remember one time you brought this one particular puzzle that I actually had, that I got, and that's the one I stayed up all night drawing little maps, trying to figure it out. You gave it to me to solve, and I really just totally forgot I was on TV, and I was just sitting there looking.
Oh my God! The first time we met.
That happened to Neville's too.
Yes.
Well,
yes.
I got the puzzle. The show's over.
So the game of Y, because you're connecting 3 branches that look like the letter Y. But you can also win if you connect a corner to the third side. This game has become very famous. It was originally invented somewhere around 1950. I didn't invent this one, friends of mine did.
Okay.
And it is one of the classics. And
there we go.
if you don't just, okay, she has two sides now. She just needs somehow to connect that line over to the third side, where you'll notice he's building you a wall.
No, I didn't notice that.
Yeah, there is a certain strategy of blocking if you want to block.
Yeah.
Otherwise.
Okay. Yeah.
But it looks so beautiful, and it looks different every time.
Oh,
it's
I
like
know.
sewing jewels.
Yeah, we have to
It
get
is.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is cute. I like that.
Yeah. Actually,
That's excellent.
I just, you know, we usually will have Kate on around Christmas.
Yes.
But this is so much better because it gives you time to really do some shopping instead of only having 2 weeks. And oh, you know, this is just so wonderful.
You can plan ahead.
Yes.
Right.
And I'm already seeing ones that would be good for different members of the family.
Oh,
so.
yeah.
And it was so nice to drive here in warm weather.
Yeah.
That is different.
Instead of almost ice.
And the new game Puzzle fan.
So I should
outside.
mention that the game of Y has been named one of the 100 best games
Really?
on the market by Games Magazine.
Oh, yeah.
It was featured in a feature article in Games. It's on Board Game Geek. The fans have put
There
a
we
little
go.
item
Okay.
about it. So
And
there's
we have to ask, is there a why not game? And
no, there's
Okay.
not. But
Well, you
it's a
see,
good question.
I like this because, you know, asking the question why, you know, gets you to thinking. So this does
Yes,
too. So
yes.
I like that.
There are
Metaphor
6 other
for it, too.
games to play on the board that I contributed
Really?
to it myself.
Wow.
In
excellent.
some of which the pieces move or jump.
Mm-hmm.
There's some puzzles about
Wow.
it. The other one I wanted to tell you about
Uh-huh.
this kind of new. Wait, if you may ask if you wish.
Oh, no, you go ahead because I'm
Well,
curious about all of them. So.
Star Slide, yeah,
This
exactly.
one is kind of unusual. This is a star-shaped board. The grid on it. This is one of the, I was telling you, I was
13.
trying to make up things that look like kaleidoscopes, and I actually have now created a name for them with a little TM after it. I call them kaleidomatrix.
Okay.
It's a kaleidomatrix. And so this has a star. Now you all know this star that you can draw without lifting the pencil from the paper. You know,
Five-sided,
bump, bump,
yeah.
bump, bump, 5. Well, every odd number you can keep going. You can go bump, 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 and it's 7, 9, 11, and 13. This has a slightly funny story. Someone else had asked me, a fellow game designer had asked me to come up with an idea that they could use for a game that people could play in a tavern, preferably with vodka, because they were looking for a sponsor when vodka wanted to have this game. And I thought, well, if it's round, they can actually show it and embed it right on these trays they carry the drinks around on.
Ooh, cool.
Oh.
Well, those people didn't go for it, and I said, well, this is far
They're
too good
lost.
an idea for me to just waste on them, so I'm going to make it myself. The thing that's interesting about this is it has, you play with 12 pieces. 12 is kind of my special number. 12 pieces, and if you get them all on there, there'll be one empty space into which you can maneuver.
Okay.
And the way the game operates is that you take turns, so you can put that right on top of that if you like.
Okay.
And give me back the little bag.
There we go.
All right. So if you have, what color would you like? Blue?
Yeah.
Okay. Give me a moment. I can talk about this. The idea in the game is that you're going to place a piece on a circle, and then you'll slide it to the other end of that line.
Okay.
If you have an open space there, the idea is you try to find a place where you can keep getting them in there. Now there's one piece with the felt ones, white side up, that you place on a circle and then move it. And then this other piece is a crown that goes always on the last piece you moved. We want to be
Okay.
able to keep track of what was the very last piece that you used.
Okay.
Got
The
my-
object is to get all of them, first you try to get all of them on the board. You're going to populate your galaxy.
Okay.
This is the crown for the other player, and you have a couple more pieces here. You should end up with 6.
Yes.
All right. So now, Neville, here are yours.
Okay.
Would you like me to hold it in
I got
between
it.
us, or?
Okay,
This
sure.
is the crown. This is your crown.
Okay.
As soon as you play one piece, the crown goes on the board. You won't have to move it again. I mean, you just move it to the new piece.
Okay.
So the goal, it's a very strange feeling when you play this because you see things happening.
Okay.
And every circle is connected to 4 paths. You can move on any of those 4 paths if you want. You can come here, you can go across the board and so on.
Okay.
And
so
now you slide it across. Let's say if you slide it to here, put your crown on it.
Okay.
I'll hold your crown for you.
Great. Which one? Oh, yeah, the blue one. That's
Okay. There's your crown.
Okay.
And now you move anywhere you like.
Okay, so...
In a way, it's almost, that's your crown. You move one of the others with felt on them.
Okay.
Green side down.
All right, there we are.
In a way, now you can't come here because that's occupied, but you can certainly still move to there if you wish.
Okay, so
and then
I
you
go
put your
there
crown on
and
it.
put the crown on it. Okay.
And then I put another one down and do the same?
And you keep doing as long as you have openings to do it with.
Oh, this way. And then I move that because that represents the last piece.
Yes.
Okay, right side up, and move there. Okay.
And you can just keep going until there's no more chance to make another move.
Okay.
Until you cannot add a new piece. So it'll be overcrowded, and you can just move what's already there until a new opening shows up.
Okay.
And the beauty of it is that at some point it becomes totally confusing. But yet you only still have to think about one orbit at a time.
Ah,
it's like these guys are in orbit. And you still have a move.
Okay. Let's see.
It's reaching mass.
This way.
Neville still has a couple moves.
So I move there.
And at this point, you can't make a new move. You can't add a new piece in.
Okay.
So that one just waits. It's going to wait in the wings. Now you may move any piece except the crowned piece to an open space.
Okay.
And move the crown over it. And if during this process a line opens up, then the next waiting piece can also come in.
Okay.
I can see how they didn't want this in the hands of alcoholics.
Aren't you
and
funny?
Still there's no opening, so you keep looking.
Aha.
Now you can play a really short game and just play until everyone has managed to come on board. If you want to play a longer game, then a game continues from there, and there are all sorts of other maneuvers you can do. For those who want to play it very competitively, the goal is going to be kind of nasty. You try to block the other player from having another move. And yours are blue.
Yeah.
But you have a move. So if you block up a space so that the other player can't move any circle at all, no slides are available, the game ends. But for those who want to keep a universal game going, who like to keep things volatile and alive,
Shall we set this down?
you lose if you block the other player. That's enough to I think you've done enough.
Okay.
But
No,
the
I
idea
see how
is
that's fascinating.
that you can play it so that you keep enabling the other player to keep going. You're helping them to stay alive, in other words. You're helping them, you're facilitating their advance. Or you can play it where you want to stop it.
So the opposite of what we're taught in life. That's totally the opposite of what we're taught. And yet it is one family. And as we've said so many times on the show, if you're helping the other person, you're helping you. Come on.
I'm trying to come up with more games that have a non-predatory nature. I don't know if you've ever heard me talk about that. We haven't really talked about the games as much as about my puzzles. And too many games out there have the nature of being either predatory or just downright destructive, where both players are enemies or they are opposite and they're at war with each other, they want to destroy each other, they capture, they take away, they steal, they appropriate. This is going to be totally controversial, and I'm sure you get a phone call right away. That if you think about the game of checkers, what is the goal in checkers?
Killing the opponent.
You're trying to wipe them all out.
Right.
What do we call that?
Genocide.
Genocide, exactly. So checkers is symbolic genocide.
Oh, yeah.
Chess, at least, has the virtue of you're only trying to topple the king. You're trying to
true.
get a regime change, if you like, okay?
Oh, that's very good.
Oh, what a progressive game chess is, yes. So I suppose Raptor and Bunny Rabbit would be out right away as title for the game.
No, I love this idea. I'd love to hear more about that, about the game.
Yeah.
Well, I am still working on finding new games that are as enthralling, as challenging as the games people have been used to playing, and make them into games that people will want to play, that will slightly ameliorate the bloodthirstiness that we have been taught, that has been dribbled into our porridge since we were small children.
Oh, yeah. Well, you have such a knowledge of the history of games. I remember one year you were talking about one of the earliest games ever invented, and for some reason that sticks in my mind as having not such a predator nature.
That one I didn't have room to display here. It's on a canvas. I didn't have the wood board with me. It's the Royal Game of the Goose, and it's our big attraction at the Renaissance Festival, because it is a game from the Renaissance. It is purely a game of chance. You roll the dice and you move as many spaces as you've rolled. And it's simply a race to the end. It's a race to the end. And it depicts what the ancients and people throughout history have always had, this fatalistic sense that we are at the mercy of chance, that nothing we want to do or can think up to do for ourselves has a chance, because everything is determined just by the roll of the luck of the dice. And so the game of the goose is a game of luck. But it's also very funny. And it used to be played as a gambling game. There's a space with a tavern on it, and if you land there, you lose a turn. Well, our guys out at the Renaissance, the guy who lands there, now he has to waste a turn. Well, he has to go and get us all some ale.
Oh, good, yes.
Real ale. Not a game board ale, real ale, so it's fun. The other side of that game, which people can look up on our website, of course, is called the Game of the Labyrinth. And that is the one I may have told you about, which dates back 3,500 years.
Easily.
It's the game, it's the Phaistos disc that was found in the Phaistos Palace on the island of Crete. And it has Greek and Egyptian hieroglyphs on it. Has never been fully interpreted, but one of my friends who's a scholar of antiquities has seen its similarity to the goose game. And so it is a game of chance, but a little bit of maneuvering you can still do, because if you roll the 2 dice, you can use the numbers on 2 different pieces, so you can sometimes avoid getting into those traps. You have a limited chance to affect how things happen to you. And the games of chance are very popular because it doesn't require ability. It equalizes the opportunity for advanced players and children, and anyone can play, because it's just a roll of the dice. You don't have to figure out a really clever move. It's a fun parlor game, what they used to call parlor games. And there's not really any harm done, because even if you land on another player, they're not out of the game. They just go back where you just came from. You just trade places. And that's much nicer than, for example, Parcheesi, where you try to throw them back all the way to home, and then you have to wait till you roll a 6 or something again.
Or Trivial Pursuit.
But games that are related to the Game of the Goose, we still play today. Any game that you have that you roll dice and move on spaces of a board goes back to that time, whether it's Trivial Pursuit or Monopoly, anything
well,
like
you know,
that.
the thing I like about Trivial Pursuit is that everyone really is competing against themselves.
Yes.
And that's what I love your idea, because I have gotten into debates in writing groups that I've been in where they say every plot to be entertaining has to have opposition and a bad and a good, and I say no, absolutely not, because we can all work on our personal best together, and it makes it very compatible, and you don't have to I find competitive things to be very gut-wrenching, because you're either forced to oppose the war, or you have to fight in the war. Either way, you're fighting. You know, so I just love the fact that you're working on
both
these.
ways.
Yeah.
Well, in certain competitive games, I'm not totally opposed to competition as such, because each one is encouraging the other to do his or her best. The competition shouldn't be confrontational. We're competing towards a goal. And if it's based on skill, as in the case of the game of why, you're both competing to complete your why first. You're not trying to...
Yeah, that's different, because you're working on your own personal skills and best.
And your own goals.
And the objective isn't killing the other person. It's
your
just
goal
getting
should not be gained at the destruction of the other player. It should not be a zero-sum game where you can only win if the other fails. And this is the kind of game I'm trying now to develop, that if there is there has to be opposition, there has to be an obstacle to overcome. I mean, that's what makes drama, is that there's some kind of conflict.
But if the conflict is within you and not necessarily in a war with someone else,
yes,
you know, the person,
or even some situation on the board that both or all of the players are trying to overcome.
Exactly.
I understand there's a game based on the Lord of the Rings, where the whole team goes in together to reach an objective, and they work together as a team. Although I understand one element of that is that maybe one or two of the characters have to sacrifice themselves so that the rest can go on. I'm not totally crazy about self-sacrifice, because we don't want to lose the precious, irreplaceable value of any one being.
Well, I think what you're saying, too, is that you're giving everybody different points of view. It's not necessarily even that one's good or bad, but to have all the games be exactly, you know, were the predatory games, but having options and different ways to relate. Right. It teaches you different ways to relate to each other in life.
And solving of problems. Let's say there's a conflict in the game that you're trying to overcome. Even if each player has to contribute some solution. I'm always remembering the Magnificent Seven, who each had a special talent, and it took all of their talents to succeed.
Oh, yeah.
See, this is the sort of thing I would like to move towards.
That's very interesting.
We just heard that we're only have 10 minutes left of the show. Can you believe how the time flies?
Always goes fast.
Is there anything that you wanted to point out, since we're at 10 minutes?
And any place
in particular?
You'll be soon?
Yes.
Any place
the
you're
Renaissance
going to be?
Festival.
I just got back from a 2-week show in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. It was 11 days outdoors, and it was amazing. The people there just loved what we had, and I had so many wonderful conversations, met so many fascinating people. Pittsburgh is a very civilized town. It has universities, colleges, it has high-tech groups, it has... They had a convention at the hotel right behind where the park was with the show. They had a conference on education, and this was teachers who were doing early childhood development. And they were looking for things they could use on an overhead projector or on a slide, light table. And they just went bananas for all my transparent puzzles, because these are clear colored puzzles. So it gave me a wonderful opportunity to let them know that I have these things. This is the other one I wanted to show you.
Yeah, I've been curious about that one
in the games.
also.
This one is based on one of my oldest games. I originally published it in 1983 or 84. And then it has been added to. It has been added to, so now there are 32 games that you can play on this board. They have 2 sets of pieces. Some of them are very interesting. One set of pieces has numbers, 1 through 36. And the other has very beautiful checkers. They're handcrafted. You can feel how good they feel.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Solid wood.
So I had all these 32 games, and I thought, well, what am I going to call this game? I needed an umbrella name, so it's called 6 by 6. If you go to my website and look up 6 by 6, it'll show you the whole collection of games to play with it. Some of them start on the arrows and they move in. Some of them start on the board. Every variety, and 25 of the games were part of the anniversary. So there are 5 ways to move based on king, bishop, knight, whatever. 5 different goals, and you can choose any of the goals to move any of the 5. So it's 5 times 5. It works out. So each game is totally different, and it's tremendous fun to play. It's such a rich repertoire that this is like a game room in a box.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, you know, when you first started talking about that, I remember those old things that you could buy, like 56 games all in one or something. But this is much more exciting.
They have different characteristics. So they're white and black pieces. I just wanted to put another one out there, so you know that it has. You don't even know that one of the games is called Reveal, and they're all played face down, and then you reveal them one by one, and you never know what you're going to get.
Oh, I love that.
Which player's piece is going to turn up next. So that's called 6 by 6. And I'm very, very pleased with that.
Wow.
Took a lot of work to make.
Well, Reveal sounds like it would be a game that would develop your psychic ability.
Absolutely. I kid people about that. I said, just engage your psychic powers now.
Yeah. No, I think that's the major selling point in that particular game, is to get it for your child so that they will begin to develop a psychic ability. Those with a strong psychic ability in our society are often shunned and end up, the course through life seems separate from the group of us, but let's knock that off. It's okay if you have psychic ability, and it's okay if you develop it in your child. In fact, do that, please, because your child will be more potent as a being.
This is a great thing.
I believe that children have it to a high degree, and then it is sort of trained out of them.
Beaten is the word.
Well, mentally, if not physically. And because I can remember having those senses when I was a child. And every now and then you can kind of, it clicks on again.
Yeah.
You can't call it on demand always, but you have to listen to what it calls on you.
Yeah, it's doing away with the doubt. Go ahead.
I've been very curious about the squares, because these are things I have not seen before.
The checkerboard?
Yeah. And there's another one over there. It has 3 colors or 4 colors.
This one?
Yeah, both.
Yeah.
And I just thought, well, I wonder what those are about.
This one, it looks like a checkerboard because the solution right now has been put together so that those colors are in that particular organization. But each piece is different.
Oh, there are 4
There
to
are
a
groups
piece.
of 4.
Okay.
And so the question is, how can you arrange them to create various different color compositions?
Okay.
The most difficult, it's called mini-match.
See, this is very similar to that one that I had done. Okay, sorry.
It could be. No, that's quite fine. The colors can be all joined. Only matching colors joined is the most incredibly difficult thing to do with it. But then I discovered that if you just mess around with it any old way, you get the most amazing symmetries.
Oh, yeah.
The non-matching solutions are far more beautiful than the matched ones.
And this has got to be approaching infinity, the number of...
just about.
Oh, I just love this puzzle. This one is great fun.
Now, the checkerboard itself, the red and black one back there, we don't actually have to take it out because I can tell you what they are. They are the shapes of the quintillion set.
Oh, really?
Oh, really? So they're 5s.
They are all 5s.
Oh, my
except
goodness.
for one, which is a 4. Because if you have 5, each 12 pieces, that 5 times 12 is 60. High math here. 60 is not quite enough to make a checkerboard. There's 4 more squares needed. So a little 2x2 square is added to that set to fill it up. And I can tell you the solution number of that one, a friend of mine figured out, is 1294. There are 1294 ways to put the pieces in so that it makes a checkerboard on top.
Wow.
There are 65 different ways to put them in with the square in the middle, and it doesn't make a checkerboard.
Okay.
Only 2 of them make a checkerboard. So there's statistics on all of these that are kind of fun to work out.
Oh, yeah.
And they surprise you every time. So the checkerboard is...
I have done this one with the rounded pieces.
You did the baby one.
And those are particularly, I would say,
engaging.
not difficult in a bad way, but very stimulating.
This one.
Yeah, this one is very, I think I had to do that one many times because Donnie and David have this and the bigger one too. And I had to do this many times before I solved it. And it was very fun because I love to be challenged like that.
Absolutely.
And the big one is very, very difficult. It takes a brave solver to go to that one. It's one of my 3 hardest puzzles. People ask me often, what's my hardest puzzle? And I tell them the 3 different ones. The slanted one there, the one with the rounds, and this one here.
I'm going to pick up the slanted one because I think I'm blind.
That's,
This one is sinister. We have that one.
And I want to show you just one more if there's time.
Yeah,
because
we've got a few minutes.
This is my new, people buy that because they want something really hard to give to someone. They have no idea how hard it is. And I tell them, okay, but they have to be at least 18 years old, and I need a note from the mother.
Yeah.
That's great.
This is a one that's a really sweet little puzzle.
Okay.
This is my newest one. I call it Pocket V.
Okay.
Pocket V. It doesn't have a tray. It just comes in this little bag.
Uh-huh.
But notice that they are all different. Can we get a look at what they all look like?
We'll see if
Oh, and we
get
are
a
down to
close
2
up.
minutes.
Yeah.
While you're putting that down, I'd like to remind everyone we have a crystal workshop going on tomorrow in
very.
Reston, which is the 23rd of June. And check out our website, telepathictv.com. You can watch many episodes of the show up there. And
welcome to
more
be in the
information.
audience if you would like.
And it's been such an honor having you on today, Kate.
For
I
my
know we're
very
down
great
to our
pleasure.
last minute. But
Yeah.
Well, this
Ooh.
one is one that you can use to play a very strange sort of tic-tac-toe. And you can make them into the most awesome. If you want a doodle toy to keep by the phone, this is not difficult. This makes just absolutely beautiful little things.
Wow.
Very fun.
That's truly, there we go.
Wow.
That's truly excellent.
And you can make designs with the little squares on top.
Okay.
So
Well, please do. I know we're down to our last minute. Please check out Kate's website, which is gamepuzzles.com. And you had some other websites, which was Polyform Puzzles,
polyformpuzzles.com
and
playable-art.com.
playable-art.com. And you can get to her from our links page, telepathictv.com. And do check it out. I highly recommend, Neville does too. These are the best puzzles and games you will ever find, because I've looked.
And
they are
Club Siesta
indeed.
the Renaissance
And the Renaissance.
in the fall.
It was
And
our
we will
joy
do
and
that.
honor to take you to the door.
Yeah, and your choice to go through. Thank you for participating in another episode of Telepathic TV.
And be
Voila.
good to your friends
Yes.
and everyone else.
Yes.
Especially.
We need more love and getting along in the world.
Yes.
And
I agree with
everybody's your
that.
cousin, no exceptions.
Everybody is you, actually.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, that's true
Yes.
too. Yep.
Yeah. Oh, see, I'm already getting hypnotized here. Come on, guys.